Good evening, everybody. This is Scott DeCamp with CatchMark Sports. We're here in the Coach's Corner again, another episode, and we're here with Montague head coach Justin Dennett. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure having you on. You're coming off a 33-7 victory over Oak Ridge, which a lot of people, myself included, wasn't doubting that you could win, although I might have picked the other blue and white team, but they just the manner in which you did it, I thought you controlled it from start to finish, and good balance throughout. Pass for 173 yards, rush for 139, and you just kept them off balance all game, and your defense obviously was just made it really difficult on them. And I mean, any initial thoughts or takeaways off that game, things that you thought really won it for you guys?
Yeah, we were just really happy with how we came out right off the bat. We talked that they're a team that if they get an early lead, they'll kind of just run their tee and kind of grind you out, and so we knew it was important to get off to a good start, and we were able to do that. I think the biggest thing for us was that balance you talked about, being able to throw the ball around a little bit, still be able to run Dylan. That balance is what I think makes us pretty tough to defend. And then defensively, we're still playing really good defense right now. We got a lot of guys just flying around making plays. It's all 11 guys had a great night. So that's kind of what we're going to hang our hat on, and that balanced offense and our tough defense will hopefully help us out throughout the season. Yeah,
that Edwardsburg game, we talked about it several times, but since then, you guys have outscored your three conference opponents 103-7. So I mean, that illustrates that defense you're talking about, and you're getting it going on. I mean, I know Dylan's been playing great, 3 straight 100-yard games. He had 116 yards and 20 carries with 2 touchdowns, scored on runs of 16 and 2 yards, and then Andrew Couey, I thought, was pretty sharp. He was 13 of 20 for 173 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He hit Tug Nichols 5 times for 93 yards and a touchdown. I thought, seems like Tug has been picking it up the last couple games. And, I mean, just how much of a lift has he been, and how big emotionally is somebody like Tug?
Yeah, he's been great, and a lot of it's what he does after the catch, because a lot of it is just bubble screens or things like that, and he's just a dynamic player after the catch. Couey's making the right read and getting him the ball, and then he kind of does his thing after that. So that definitely, like I said, allows us to be balanced on offense and kind of frees some things up for us. So having him kind of come on the last 2 weeks has been really big for us.
And he's been big in the return game too. He really shined, I thought, Friday against Oak Ridge. Catching the ball, and you were getting in a good field position, and then he was just adding it to it and set you guys up really nice on a few of those drives there. But and defensively, John Greiner led you with 9 tackles again, but it was balanced. You had Hayden McDonald, Silas Jancic, and Colton Blankstrom with 7 tackles each, somewhere around there. I think those were from maybe the Oak Ridge stats, but I think your guys were pretty close to that. Okay. But you've got some guys who, a lot of guys who are making plays, it seems like, on defense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, our defensive line has been solid all year, and Colton Blankstrom's been great at inside linebacker, and now John Greiner's starting to come along at that other weak side inside backer spot. So those 2 linebackers have been big for us, and a lot of it is our defensive line taking pressure off them and, forcing double teams. People see Hayden McDonald, they either have to double team him or run away from him, do something, and so that kind of frees up our linebackers. So. Yeah,
certainly, and there was one play in particular, I think early fourth quarter, right on your sideline where, I don't know if it was a swing pass or whatever, and Colton got over from that middle linebacker spot and filled, and he smacked that guy pretty good.
Yeah, that was a great hit. We talk about guys bringing the juice, and we haven't really had it yet, but that one, that was a special hit. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then he had the nice touchdown reception as well. So, I mean, you're getting good football out of a lot of guys, I think. And, one guy I wanted to talk about was Aaron Rolfe, and, it's been a tough go for him lately with losing Bob Dark, who was essentially his stepdad, and then he lost a couple grandparents recently. And I mean, how tough was it for you guys last week? And yet at the same time, how uplifting was it for your team to kind of rally around him?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a tough go lately, and so it was nice. He was able to be at practice a couple times last week, even though, it was, crazy circumstances, and he really wanted to play, and he said, Bob would have wanted him to play, and that was a big part of it. And it was really special. Thursday night at our team dinner, Bob's brother Steve gave a great speech to our guys about being family, the football family, and our guys kind of rallied around that. And I think that was part of the emotion that night, is they wanted to get that win for Aaron and kind of uplift him, because he's gone through a pretty rough stretch here. So.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool how when you guys do your walk from the school, into the complex, and they walk along the side of the building there, and it was Aaron and Tug carrying the number 53 jersey. That was pretty powerful, I thought, and then carrying it into the stadium, and then they end up hanging it on the fence, and it just hung there the whole game. And then afterwards, that was one of the first things they grabbed her and brought it over and ran to the end of the field and kind of gave it back to Aaron. They just kind of rallied around him. I thought that was a great way to cap the night. Did you think?
Yeah, for sure. It was one of those special moments in high school sports, and when it just means a lot more than sports, and it was just, I'm happy for our guys, and hopefully, Aaron, even though it's been a rough stretch, can, take some positives out of that.
Just, on the lighthearted side of things, I got to give this guy a little bit of grief. Your assistant, Randy Michelson, I just showed you the clip off camera, but I sent him the clip earlier today. We were looking for different highlights from your game earlier today in the office here, and you set the tone right away. You got to stop it. I don't think it was a 3 and out, but they might have run 4 or 5 plays or whatever, and then they punted, and I think Tug maybe brought it back to like the 50. First play, Dylan breaks one off for 29 yards down to the 21, and I see you go zipping down the sideline yelling, and I see Randy Michelson, let's go, and he's kind of doing some jumping, skipping thing or whatever. But how did that set the tone? Do you think right away like that?
Yeah, I think it just showed us right away that we could move the ball on them because we heard all along how big and physical they were, and when you rip off a good run like that, I think it sets the tone. And Randy's kind of our hype guy most of the time, so he's always getting them going, and that was just a great way to start it.
I think he sported like a 10-inch vertical.
Yeah,
he got up there a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I know he's a good athlete back in the day, so
right.
He showed some of the athleticism there. But, moving ahead to this week, you got homecoming. And, what are your thoughts on that alone? We'll get to your opponent, Raveena, in a second. But homecoming, what are your thoughts on that? Great for the student body. Is it great for you guys, or is it a little bit tricky just because of all the emotions, distractions, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I think it can be a distraction at times. I think our guys will be pretty locked in. We've talked about that though, because it's our last home game of the year too, and so it'll be senior night. It's homecoming, so there's a lot of emotions, a lot of potential distractions. But we just talk about locking in on our assignments and focusing on football. Once we cross those lines, so I think we'll be ready to go.
Can you give us a scouting report on Raveena? What have you seen just in your scouting?
Yeah, they're very athletic. I kind of talked that. Whitehall kind of put one on them, but it was some turnovers and some things didn't go their way, and so I think that score is a little misleading. I think Raveena has, some big play capability, and we definitely just have to keep those skill guys in front of us. They want to throw the ball downfield a little bit, so it'll be, just assignment football. They run some options, some veer stuff, so just defensively, just locking in and making sure we're doing our jobs, and the defensive backs not letting any big plays happen behind us, and we'll be all right.
I know football coaches don't like to look ahead, but the Portland game, we were talking off camera about this too, but just because this will be your last home game Friday unless you have like home playoff games, right, et cetera. But how did that work out? I didn't know if that was originally going to be a home game, but then you're flipping it or something?
Yeah, I think it should have been a home game, but last year, because we only played a conference schedule and didn't end up playing Portland, then it flipped. So we're on the road because we would have been on the road last year. So that was how that worked out. So yeah, we got kind of a funny schedule coming up where we're on the road the last 4 weeks of the season. So, but we'll be all right. We'll be able to handle that. So.
Right, and I don't want to say you're not worried about Portland. Obviously, you're worried, but you're not focused on them.
Right.
You got other things to take care of first. But for those who don't know, that Portland beat DeWitt, which DeWitt is arguably one of the top teams in the state, regardless of division. But I think it just shows you, Portland's no slouch either. They've been strong for a number of years now, and it just shows you what can happen any given night. So
yeah,
that should be a reminder probably to any of the kids and any of the teams out there. But
yeah.
In terms of your last 3 games, I kind of wanted to look at that again. Overall, what do you think have been the keys? If you could just kind of elaborate or reiterate the keys to your team during this 3-game winning streak that you got going on?
Yeah, a lot of it was kind of getting guys settled in on offense. We moved some guys around the first week, second week, and the last 2 weeks we finally had our offensive line set, and we think we got everybody in the right place. And so now it's guys learning those positions and kind of mastering those. And you could tell this past week against Oak Ridge that I think we finally got it. So we did a lot of good things on offense, and didn't have as many little mistakes as we had the first couple weeks of the season. So offensively, we're just kind of settled in, and defensively, the past couple weeks, it was just getting better at our base assignments. And this past week, we had to do a couple different things for Oak Ridge, but it was really just getting guys lined up correctly and then playing physical football. So we're able to do that, and hopefully our defense continues to be tough like that the rest of the year.
And I believe it's week 7. Do you still not have a game lined up for that, or is that open still?
It is still open. Yeah, there was one potentially in the works, but I don't think it's confirmed yet. So right now it's still open.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Or is it, I mean, can you go either way with that? Is it good to have a little break like that? Because that would fall right before the Whitehall game. And at this rate, it looks like their week 7 could potentially be open.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet either, but I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing, because you look at Oak Ridge, and I don't think they would discredit you guys for the performance you had, but maybe on their side they're like, well, maybe it did affect us a little bit in terms of our intensity. But
yeah.
And again, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Maybe it does make one if you're off for a week, because high school kids just aren't used to that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a difference it makes. It worries me a little bit that week you're off, what those practices will look like, because the players don't have a game that week that they're preparing for, and so you hope your guys would still lock in and get ready for the next week, but they're high schoolers, and so you never know, I guess. And I would personally like to play a game that week, not have it off. But that late in the season, it could have some benefits both ways, I guess. Do
you have any parting shots or closing thoughts just on how you guys have rebounded, or just anything, Aaron, or just your team, or any unsung heroes, or anything that you'd like to close with?
I mean, it was just such a fun game last Friday and such a great week. Some tough times and for some of our guys, and just to see how our players rallied around Aaron and kind of all came together and had our best performance of the year was just awesome to see. And I think it's something we can build on for the rest of the season. So just really happy with where we're at, and hopefully we just continue to grow and improve throughout the season.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming on. That'll do it for us tonight on the Coach's Corner. We'll be back here again next Monday, recapping the Raveena game and looking ahead to the rest of the season for Montague. Thank you, everybody.